Hi. This is a book, and today is World Book Day. Books. Remember these? They don't need batteries. The screens change when you do this. They don't freeze. They don't crash. They don't need constantly replacing at £700 a time. In fact, they cost about 1% of that generally on average. Today's World Book Day. Let's celebrate books. I am sporting, if I stand up for a second, one of my bookish t-shirts. Most of my t-shirts have something to do with books. The rest are usually something to do with Star Wars or Doctor Who. I think that's about it. As an ex-English teacher, obviously I am quite passionate about reading, about books, about the English language. And before you switch off, wait for it. The number of times I've heard students say, and adults for that matter as well, I don't like reading. Reading's boring. Absolute codswallop. If you don't like reading, you simply haven't found the right book. There is a book out there for everyone. It may well be that you have a short attention span. It may well be that you are quite lazy. Sometimes, I'll admit, there's nothing better than sitting back and having, through the wonders of the internet or television, having the information brought to life for you. You sit back, it's all there, you don't have to do any thinking, you don't have to do any working out. However, sometimes reading actually has a lot of rewards. There's more detail. You can use all 5 senses instead of just one. Visualization on the TV or internet or videos or streaming or whatever, and sound actually too. Through books you can often smell, touch, even taste. You can feel the environment more just by having a little bit of an imagination. People seem to be proud almost of not liking reading. That's incredibly sad. I mean, you actually read probably every day without even realising it. It might be traffic signs, it might be trashy magazines, it might be the YouTube logo as you signed into YouTube, or just written youtube.com, or clicked the app on your phone in order to see this video message. Facebook statuses, whether it's bad grammar or whether it's written absolutely fantastically, reading is all around. You don't even have to think about it. There is absolutely nothing wrong with reading. People should do more of it, and today is a day to celebrate that. Starting off, I'm showing a selection of books. Some of these are my favourite books. Not necessarily my most favourite, but some that I very much like reading. Some of them are, of course, favourites, but they are books that have had an impact on me in some way or another. Harry Potter, I think, goes without saying. The Boy Wizard, who was published, I think it was 1997 first published. Let me just double check before I tell you a fib. First published in Great Britain in 1997. Good. Believe it or not, this is now, save a few months, nearly 20 years old. You won't think it. I mean, it's everywhere. There's been films out, but actually, this book is 20. It has almost has a right to vote. It's not going to win the Nobel Prize for Literature, but it is imaginative. I wouldn't completely say it's original, because there were stories about witching schools before Harry Potter. Worst witch. But this got people reading it. It captured people's imaginations. There was a strong story arc. There were some strong characters, some very likeable characters. J.K. Rowling, frankly, is somewhat of a genius slash businesswoman slash perhaps maverick when it comes to writing. Don't think it's just for kids. It is really worth reading, and it gets darker. It does get better, and it is very much a book for kids to grow up reading. This one being Harry in year 7. There are 7 books. Secondary school has 7 years. Read one a year. Once you get to 11, I highly recommend it. It will almost grow with you, and you'll be part of Harry's universe. If you can, avoid the films until afterwards. I am going to try and whiz through this honestly. Okay, so Fantastic Mr. Fox, book of my childhood. Obviously not this one. Mine is somewhere a lot more dog-eared. This is one that I've got in a box set. Quite a thin book. One that I remember getting my mum to read me many times. The characters have stayed with me. The classic illustrations by Quentin Blake have stayed with me. Roald Dahl, in my opinion, is a very underrated writer. He is absolutely brilliant. If you think he's just a kid's a children's author, go and read some of his other short stories and look him up. Look up Lamb to the Slaughter. That one is very clever. I'm not going to give the ending away. It's tempting, but it's brilliant. He uses wordplay. He has larger-than-life characters, which almost mimic a Dickensian style in some way. They are caricatures of themselves. They are larger than life, but worth. But actually, no, not worth. In some ways, better than Dickens. They're easily accessible. A, because they're modern. B, they don't waffle on as much. And I'm a fan of Dickens. Tales from Moomin Valley, or Moomins in general. There's a certain naivety, there's a certain innocence about the Moomins. There was a TV series, I believe actually it's been digitally remastered. There's even a Moomin shop in London. They're fantastic. They're great for kids, but they're great for adults as well, for escaping. When you have one of those days where you go, I really don't want to adult anymore, pick up a Moomin book. The illustrations, the whimsy, the little stories, they can teach you things even in adulthood, actually. I really like these. I really treasure these. Boy in the Striped Pyjamas. Although it's a children's book, the little strapline on the back reads, "What happens when innocence is confronted by monstrous evil?" It's based around events in the Holocaust, World War II. It's very, very easy to read because it's actually written in a child's language, in very accessible words. Almost, well, no, it is simplistic in the way that it's written. However, I won't say it's in a way that talks down to children. I've known adults that have cried at this. I nearly cried at this. I very rarely cry at books. It's touching. It's worth reading. And the simplistic writing style actually adds to the character, to the boy who's narrating it, who isn't the character in the title, by the way. It's just a lovely book. It's very easy to read, and it gives, frankly, an insight into the war that isn't given. We all, although it's less than 100 years ago, still we all think that it's, or we often think it's all warfare and it's all politics, and we forget the human angle, or we remember just the tragedy. This told through the eyes of a child is actually very believable. Next, All the Bright Places. You might have heard of this recently. It is becoming a film with Elle Fanning, sister of Dakota Fanning. She played Sleeping Beauty in the movie Maleficent, for anyone who is a bit of a film buff. I have seen Year 7 girls reading this, so 11-year-old girls. This did move me to tears at the end. I mentioned in the previous video about mental health and about me having a bipolar diagnosis, cyclothymia, mild bipolar. This was such a relatable book for me, despite being young adult fiction, despite being favoured among tween-age girls, and being sort of John Green style. It's quite brutal. It's quite shocking. There are groups in America that have tried to ban this book because, shock horror, they have sex. I've worked in a school. Kids these days know things a lot of adults don't. They could teach adult sex education. Honestly, it's amazing. So I think not teaching kids this sort of stuff is not going to help. So also the fact that it deals with depression, the fact it deals with the story of a girl who learns to live from a boy who wants to die, suicidal feelings, suicidal tendencies. I don't think it's going to make kids all want to go out and do that. It's, I think, actually going to teach them to be more accepting. We need more books like this. This one is, I rarely reread books, but this is a book that I shall reread. It's called All the Bright Places by Jennifer Niven. She's not paying me. Perhaps she should. This is one of my all-time favourite books, despite being, perceived as girly young adult fiction. Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime. Again, similar to Boy in the Striped Pyjamas, it is told through the eyes of a character, quite a unique character. While that one is a child, this character suffers from autism. The play version is part of the national curriculum. It's a GCSE option, which I'm also currently reading, as well as Lord of the Flies and an illustrated version of Harry Potter. That makes the character human. It makes them believable. It's the only one that I've read by Mark Haddon. I keep meaning to read more, but this is absolutely brilliant in helping to understand the human condition, in helping to understand autism, in helping to understand people in general and what other people are going through. Next, Terry Pratchett's The Truth. First novel that I read by Terry Pratchett. It's 25th in the Discworld series, but very funny, and really taught me a lot about the meaning of words and how they can be construed, and I guess was the beginning, or where I can pinpoint the beginning of my journey into enjoying and really appreciating language and stories. Douglas Adams, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Similar tone to Terry Pratchett. Funny, witty, clever. Worth watching. Worth reading. worth listening to on the radio. TV series, I even quite like the film. They're all different interpretations of the same story by the same same author. This is all 5. Again, mentioning Human Condition, Billy Connolly, the biography written by his wife, very personal, very human, really takes the celebrity out of him while giving him more celebrity. And last but not least, and very relevant for now, 1984. Are we being controlled by the government? Is the government really the enemy? I don't want to give a lot away. I mean, there's so much about 1984 by George Orwell that feeds into society now. Oh, Pippin! Just a dog. What you already know about 1984, I won't repeat. The rest I'll leave up to you. You need to read this. So that is my book rundown for World Book Day. If you want to hear more about any particular book, let me know and I'll do an individual review. For now, pick up a book. If you don't like it, don't say I don't like reading, just pick up another book. I'll see you later.